Agent Power Huddle is a daily jumpstart, giving you all the tools you need to create an amazing real estate career. Led by top experts in the field, you'll learn how to sell more houses in less time while creating the life you want. Welcome to the Agent Power Huddle.
I am so excited today. I guess I'm excited a lot, but Steve, I'm legitimately excited that we have Steve Williams back again today, and we are going over today something he has coined the certified pre-owned selling strategy. And Steve, I gotta say, certified pre-owned selling strategy is something that I've heard from other industries, right? But I've never heard it in terms of real estate. So if you guys haven't heard Steve on the podcast before, Steve Williams is an incredible agent out of Florida. He is industry veteran selling hundreds, I don't know, thousands of homes at this point. I mean, he knows his stuff. So what is the certified pre-owned selling strategy?
Well, I got to give an intro kind of background to get into this, but this morning I wanted to discuss these. Actually, there's two marketing strategies. They're both very closely related that I like to use in my real estate listings to help level the playing field between buyers and sellers. But let me share, like I said, a little background or introduction to our discussion today. It seems to me that the current system seems biased towards buyers when we have property owners who trust us to negotiate the highest price and the best terms for the sale of their homes, land, multifamily property, or whatever it is. Now, what do I mean by that when I say it's biased? I said, well, our MLS board, the contracts we use offer contingencies to buyers for home inspections, title insurance, real estate appraisals, loan approvals, all these outs for buyers, completely swayed against the sellers. And I'm sure it's different all across the country. And I don't know about your real estate contracts, but the one that really strikes me the most in our local Northeast Florida real estate contracts under the inspection contingency clause says, quote, for any reason in the buyer's sole and absolute discretion, the buyer may cancel this agreement and receive a full refund of their binder. And if you've tied up that property for 20, 15 days, whatever it is, and they have a buyer's remorse or whatever the reason, absolute and sole discretion, they can back out. So the marketing ideas I'm going to share with you were born out of concepts and ideas I learned from sheer desperation on how to continue to make a living in the real estate market back in 2008 through 2010. Now, I don't know about all of you, maybe some of you were not in the business in those years, but for those of us who remember it vividly, that was the Great Depression, or a recession, I should say, the Great Recession in real estate years. And it wasn't pretty, and I had to learn a new way to sell real estate. So I believe it or not, I started working for a national real estate auction company, and this is where a lot of these ideas were born from. So what did I learn from that I've now kind of fast forward, I started to apply right around, guess what, the next catastrophe, which was the pandemic. So with that introduction, let's begin by asking, what are the usual obstacles sellers face when we receive offers from buyers on their homes? And they are number one, price. Sometimes our sellers have stake surveys and sometimes they don't. The condition of the home inspections, title insurance, all things we've described above. But what if we gather all those items in advance, even a home inspection, and shared them with our prospective buyers and posted them in our document section of our listings? What if the staked home survey, and get this, I even suggest getting a real estate appraisal, or at the very least a CMA that you can post for buyers to see, the floor plan, the title insurance, and I even offer a home warranty that the seller is offering with the sale of the home. What if everything that creates doubt in a buyer's mind were disclosed in advance? If they like the home, have we not eliminated their excuses to making a full price or a reasonable offer at terms ideal for our seller? I mean, think about it. What if the buyers had confidence in the asking price? What if the buyers had confidence in the condition of the home? What if the buyers had a stake survey confirming there were no easement, expenses, or other issues that could cloud the title insurance? Do you think this can make a difference in their offer price? And if not eliminating the inspection period, at least shortening that inspection period to something that's more reasonable, like maybe 2 to 5 days instead of the usual 10, 15, 20 days we typically get in our offers. But more importantly, would it not help in getting more than one buyer interested in making an offer, essentially creating an auction effect for your seller? All right, so Jesse, with that, go ahead and display the certified pre-owned marketing strategy. The first strategy we're going to discuss, I call it certified pre-owned marketing strategy. That should sound familiar to you if you're thinking of cars. You see, it's used all the time with car dealers. They will advertise the Carfax, which is the history of the car and its repairs, and they include a warranty for the car. Well, essentially, what I'm trying to do is the same thing, but I like to add a twist. I like to post our listings into the MLS in a coming soon status. And I think most MLSs around the country offer the same thing, meaning buyers are not able to preview the home until a certain day and time in the future. But it's in the MLS, so people are starting to see it. Now, it's not necessarily in all the search engines. It's only there for the real estate professionals. But if you work hard at two things: one, gathering all the info we described and reviewed above, and all that typically takes 2 weeks to gather the survey, the CMA or real estate appraisal, a home inspection, the title insurance or a title search at the very least, and anything else of relevance to our listing prior to the grand premiere event. And then if we work really hard at advertising this this property in some super fantastic opening, or as I call it, the grand premiere event, when it goes live in the MLS from coming soon to live, and you've promoted it through the internet and email blasts and social media and everything. And if you've done a good job of doing all those things, you just will be shocked at how many people will show up. Typically for ours, we like to think we can get between 30 and 50 buyers, which is not unusual, and their agents to come swarm our listing at the grand premiere event 2 weeks after we've gathered all the information. We have it handy in person right there in folders for people to look at. And we also have it obviously posted in the MLS in the document section of the listing. Now, this is the part I like the best when we prepared properly like this. When you have that many potential buyers previewing the home at the same time, they are no longer thinking about negotiating the best price in terms they can buy this home from the seller. They're now thinking about how can I outbid the other buyers who are looking at this home that I want to buy. Now, this is a wonderful way to not only level the playing field between the buyer and the seller, but in a lot of cases, it tilts the advantage to the seller. So that certified pre-owned home marketing strategies works really well when you have properties a home that's maybe 10 years new. Typically, it might be the one homeowner. He might know everything about the property, and he's kept good records about everything, and he's maintained the home properly. If you're dealing with an older home, then I do a slight twist to this strategy, and this is where, Jesse, you can put up the as-is marketing strategy. And this is for older homes. You can do the same thing, and yeah, the property might have a home might have a lot of warts to it, or what have you, with deferred maintenance and things of that those types of issues. But if you disclose them all up front and maybe worked hard at getting quotes for repairs, and it's all disclosed up front in advance, these buyers are still, and if you get enough buyers there to look at it at the same time, you're going to get multiple offers. You're going to get the best possible price and terms for your seller, because let's face it, there's no excuses. There's no buyer's remorse that's going to pop up later on because you've hopefully negotiated out the inspection period or any other contingencies so that they're putting their money up and it's hard within a couple days, or it's hard right away, and they're going to move towards closing. So in a nutshell, that's what these two strategies I like to employ on every one of our listings entails. And I would love to get some feedback from other folks or questions about how this process works. And I also wanted to put it out there that for the folks listening in, what strategies or ideas do they have that are specific to the way they market their homes? Because Agent Power Huddle should be all about trading ideas to help us sell our homes for the most amount of money with the least amount of time. So with that, I'll lay it out back to you, Jesse, and let me know what you think and what questions come to your mind.
I love this. So first one, just a comment. And if anybody else has questions, please either raise your hand, unmute yourself, because I'd love to have an open discussion on this. I think also even as a listing tool, when you're sitting with a seller, it's a point of differentiation amongst other agents, even though some of the things are similar to what other agents do, but some because you're doing even more and because you're packaging as a term of this certified pre-owned. I love the idea. I'd never thought of that. Now, do you find that sellers resonate with this when do you sit down and explain this, in the listing appointment, and does this help as a point of differentiation?
It landed me a $6 million listing back in August that we closed on in October, and we used that the certified pre-owned home marketing strategy, and we had, I think it was 35 agents and their buyers came through and sold it in the first week. It went from coming soon to live on the market. We sold it within that first seven days.
Interesting. And do you think, I mean, and I know it's interesting because some parts of the country, I don't know if we have anyone here from these markets, but some parts of the country, it is common to do a seller to do a home inspection prior to listing and include that. In our market, it's not common, right? In some markets that I'm seeing, Steve notice, I don't know, in other markets. Is it something that in your market, Steve, that's done where the seller provides a home inspection in general? Or is this something unique for your market?
No. So
two Steve, sorry. We'll go Steve Williams and then Steve. Go ahead, Steve Williams. In your market, it's not typical Steve Williams?
It is not common in my marketplace. The home sellers, when in a listing presentation, to go, well, that's what the buyer pays for. And I go, I know this sounds backwards and not what you're used to. And then I try and rationalize with them as to what the benefit is to them to do this. If they still are hesitant, I will say, and I got to be honest, I go into in this presentation with about 0.5% bump in my commission rate in the event I have to pay for it. As long as I get the property listed for the price that I'm comfortable with, that I know I can sell it for using this strategy, I will go ahead and say, no problem, Mr. Seller, more than happy to take care of it for you. That's how much faith and trust I have in you and myself working together to get your property sold.
I love that. Steve, not Williams, is this commonly then your market, the pre-inspection?
So I've been doing this for years and years and years and years. And it was not common in the Seattle marketplace to do it. But when the pandemic hit, more brokers were doing the pre-inspection. We've noticed now that it's tapered off. We've been doing the exact same thing Stephen Williams does. We do the pre-inspection. We do sewer scopes. We do all of it. We've gone pending inspection one time in 8 years. The only contingency we allow on our properties is a financing contingency because we've done everything ahead of time. We open title. As soon as we meet a client, we open title ahead of time. So if there's an issue on title, we know that, we find out what it is and we get it cleared up. The home inspection report, yes, sellers do say, why am I paying for an inspection? Well, I tell them it's going to be a lot cheaper for you to do a pre-inspection. A buyer's going to know everything what's wrong with your house rather than going through their own inspection with their inspector throwing darts at their house, telling their potential buyer everything that's wrong with it. So we hardly ever have any buyer ask for any thing to be done to the house. But if we allow a buyer to go through there, which we will allow, the inspector is going to find a lot more things that could potentially, they're going to talk about things that are wrong with the house. But if a buyer sees the inspection report as just information, because we provide it online ahead of time, anytime somebody wants to see it, they're just less, it's just not is frightening to a potential buyer. On our website, we have a custom website for each house. And on that, any buyer or anybody can go onto that custom website, enter their information, and they can download every single document about the house, every document, inspection, title, anything you can think of, seller disclosure, every single form that we can provide to potential buyer to make a decision on a house. We have it available online from the moment the home's listed for sale. Now, we call it our certified listing program, similar to what Steve does. And when we do home selling seminars, we talk about it in that, and sellers are very receptive to it because it just makes a lot of sense, and it makes it less scary for buyers too when they're looking at a house.
And the other realtors love you for it because
they do. In fact, I got a comment yesterday. I was talking to a broker I worked with a couple of years ago, and he goes, "You know what, you guys do an excellent job listing your houses because you give us all the information right up front. You answer every single question we might have about your property before we even walk through the front door."
Makes the job so much easier.
So much easier. You know what? It's more work for us up front, but I tell you, it's smooth sailing once you get under contract because there's just less hiccups.
I love that. We've got a question or a comment. And so in the chat box, Yukiko will come back to your home warranty question in a minute. And then Jacqueline's got her hand up. Jacqueline, who was taking 100 listings in 2023. I love your name on Zoom, Jacqueline. A question or comment from Jacqueline. Go ahead.
Yes, I came in right at the middle, the end of what he was talking about. So I'm not exactly sure what the conversation is about. Is it about you doing all the inspections and prior to getting it on the market, or what is it? I got right on the end of it.
Steve Williams, go back to the very beginning and start again. No, I'm kidding.
I apologize. I totally apologize.
It's all right, Jacqueline. We'll give the cliff notes. It'll be a good recap anyway. So Steve.
So Jacqueline, what we like to try and do in advance to eliminate all doubt for a buyer to move forward with their offer is we go ahead and gather in advance of actually putting the home live on the MLS, the home inspection, the title search or title insurance, if the seller has a survey, we want to post that, especially if it's a very old survey, we'd like to get it updated. So we want to post that. Obviously, the seller's disclosure is important. And anything that would help a buyer make a decision without contingencies and offering the best possible price. And last but not least, we make sure that all buyers out there understand that the seller is offering a home warranty, upon closing of the purchase of a home.
Okay, so you're posting all of that. You're having all of those inspections done, and then including it in your MLS. Is that right?
Correct. I even go so far as I urge the seller to get, and one thing I forgot to mention is a real estate appraisal. And if not a real estate appraisal, at the very least a CMA, a very detailed CMA. And again, all these things, the seller at the end of the day, he can say, you can post this, but you can't post that. We strongly urge to post everything, but it's to their discretion. But all those things, if you're priced in line with whatever your CMA range is or whatever the appraisal came in at, I think all of that is nothing but a huge benefit to the seller to get it sold in the shortest period of time at the maximum price. But the ultimate goal, the way I do it is I don't want buyers coming in whenever they want to come in was just by themselves with their agent. I try and pool all of them together in what I call a grand premiere event from soon to live. I post well in advance and promote the heck out of it through all sources I can, from social media to email blasts to word of mouth to even print advertising and flyers in agents' offices. Got to see this. It's fully vetted. Your buyer's going to love it. And if you have all those buyers pooled together in there at the same time, I'll have a guitarist in there playing. I try and make it a party. Anything I can do to create an atmosphere where all these people are milling around looking at this beautiful home and they're going, oh my God, I really love this home. I love the atmosphere. And then they realize they're not competing against the seller now. They're competing against these other buyers who are also interested in the home. And that's the auction effect I want to create.
Okay, so now, Steve, thank you so much for that information. So now how do you convey that to your seller in order for your seller to be on board to do the appraisal and the home inspection when he knows that the home inspection and the appraisal is supposed to be for the buyer? How you convey that to them for them to agree?
So sometimes they're very obstinate about it, to your point, and they don't like that idea. There's a couple ways to handle it. One is I can say, if as I was stating earlier, I try and put a 0.5% cushion in there in case I've got to pay for it out of my pocket. Another way to do it is to say, look, you can reimburse. You can explain to the seller, look, we will pay for it up front, but we will get reimbursed at closing. Something along those lines is another way to handle it. If they're absolutely steadfast against it, then if I can get the listing for the correct price, then I've covered it in that 0.5% bump into my real estate commission.
Okay.
Liliana's got a question on cost. She said cost. And by the way, great questions, Jacqueline. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve, Liliana's asking about cost around $2,000.
For
not sure. Maybe Liliana, which portions are you asking about the cost for? So maybe.
Well, we're talking about inspection, appraisal, and home warranty. I think it's like $3,000.
Yeah, I mean, it varies depending obviously on the size of the home, the price range we're talking about. All these factors come into play. So, yeah, typically in our marketplace here, our home inspection for a smaller home is around $650. For the luxury property I used that I described earlier, it came in, it was $1,850, I believe, to do that home inspection. And because there was a lot of moving parts to it. But again, it's when you're talking about $1,850 versus $6 million, it's a drop in the bucket. So it's well worth it in advance to have the highest price, the best terms, and a successful sale for all parties concerned. Going back to Jacqueline's question, another way to handle it is, and to your point, if you've done this several times successfully, then you now have case studies that you could also roll out in front of the seller and say, this is why we do this. Look at this case study I did back in May and how successful it ended up. And the more of those you can roll out and explain and show them, it's the type of social proof that is hard to beat.
I love that, Steve. Yukiko's got her hand up. She had a question too about home warranty. Yukiko, do you want to ask your question?
Home warranty. I think he was talking about home warranty offered to the buyer, but now, did you place a home warranty for the seller during your listing period?
No, I was referring exactly to your point. That it was a home warranty offered by the seller for the buyer at closing. So
At closing, but do you place home warranty for the seller during listing duration?
no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Good questions. And Steve, not Steve Williams, I saw you unmute yourself for a minute. Did you have another comment or something you want to add?
I was going to add to it too. It's easy to convince a seller to do our process. We explain to them if they have somebody come in and do a home inspection, we don't have the listing program set up like we always do. If we were just to do it the traditional way, any buyer could come in and do a home inspection, and then they can walk away. In Seattle, they can walk away for any reason, anything they can walk away with. So what happens if your house goes pending inspection and then it goes back active again? Well, potential buyers are going to think, oh, this seller is going to be desperate, right? because they went pending inspection, and now they're probably, under pressure even more to get the house sold. And, they could potentially offer a lower price, right? So that's it, right? That's really a big selling point right there. It's just, know what you're selling. I always comment that people, they do more to get their car ready for sale when they're going to sell it than they do their house. And we don't like, they do. So, why not just show everything when you list your house for sale? And there's never any surprises when we list a house, ever. Everybody knows what they're getting, and it's so much smoother sailing for the seller. So that process that Steve Williams does, and we do, it's benefits the seller in so many ways.
I love it, Steve. We got about 4 minutes left. Is there anything you have? Some great questions, by the way. You got the questions you were looking for. Is there anything we haven't covered, Steve? Things that tips that from doing this over the years, things you'd add that we haven't covered yet, Steve Williams.
So there was something that went in and out. I know what I was going to say. Another advantage to doing the home inspection in advance that has been very helpful is I'll go ahead and get my homeowner's insurance agent to look at the home inspection and quote us a policy for the buyer. So they'll know what the homeowner's insurance is going to cost once they buy the home. And the reason that's important here in Florida, and a lot of other states are facing the same hurdles with home insurance these days, the buyer cannot assume the homeowner's insurance policy that's already in place by the seller. They have to get a brand new policy. So that is another big question with all the media publicity about homeowners insurance these days. If you can provide proof that it's insurable, and here's the quote and what it's going to run you, again, a big obstacle that's been taken out of the equation.
I love it. These are. I think this is it's a really great thing to consider. Even some people who are doing some of these things to put together this amount of everything together up front. Let's see. Oh, cool. Steve, if you look in the chat box, guys, Steve shared a link to his listing system, which I love. Steve Williams, you can check it out in there too. Cool. I'll take a look at that one. I love it. Awesome. We've got 3 minutes left. Anyone else got any questions, ideas, things they want to share or add?
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear another marketing strategy for someone else for the properties they put up for sale. If anybody's got a different one.
Or have any of the market strategies they want to share? They were just here to learn from you this morning, Steve.
Or the other Steve. I like him too.
Or yeah, we get double the Steve this morning. Double the Steve, right. Double the knowledge.
Word.
Well, Steve from Seattle, what's your last name?
Hill, Hill.
Okay,
that's a very complicated last name.
Yeah, I know.
Steve Williams and Steve Hill.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, guys, I'll just do this then. We can wrap it up here. Tomorrow we have Amy Izzo, who's going to be on Agent Power Huddle. And Thursday, we're doing Michael Wiseman, getting on Google, how to generate a steady stream of inbound leads from Google local search. So if you're interested in either of those topics, and then Friday, we have Linnea Carver doing her Friday Power Tips. So just like every week, we got good stuff going on every day. Steve Williams, thank you for being here. This is awesome
pleasure.
This morning. Steve Hill, thank you for sharing as well. Jacqueline and Yukiko, great questions. Liliana.
Thank you so much.
This is a great interaction. Guys, have a wonderful morning. Remember, this is an incredible market. There's opportunities in every market. I just got to get out there and look for them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Have a great day, guys. Thank you, Steve Williams.
Bye for now. Thank you.
And
Bye.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.